Consider approval of Student Health Advisory Committee members.
I'm going to go ahead and word a motion here, so if y'all will just bear with me as I list off these names, because there's a few additions. A couple of people emailed me, and I think the board was provided copies of those emails of people who are interested in serving. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve Marty Nelson, Jennifer Vogel, Lisa Mazur, Hannah Dre, Deborah Gauntlet, Dr. Sue Ann Harrison, Lindsay Martinez, Carol Peters, Brittany Cross, Jim Corona, Arlene Mendoza, Mark DeLeon, and then also Karen Munoz, Dr. Eleanor Close, Lisa Pruitt, Gabrielle Moore, Dr. Marie Salmi, Michael Leanne, and then Megan Osborne.
I second.
Discussion.
Well, first of all, you left off one person that's on the list that we received, Naomi Narvaez. Is that on purpose or?
Yes, it was.
No, I can't agree with that. And also, have these other people gone through whatever process everybody else goes through?
Not to my knowledge. I understand that they've been questioned and asked, or they've asked to be a part of it.
We
Can
can
be.
appoint.
We can appoint.
I guess I'm opposed to there being two processes. I mean, if there's
Yeah.
a process to get on it and then there's a, oh, email Miguel, I think that creates an odd imbalance. And so, I mean, I was supportive of the original list that had gone through the vetting, but if they're all motioned to be together, plus you've made selective adjustments to take people off of who had already been put forth through the SHAC, I can't support it.
What is the application process, or what vetting takes place for an individual to be on the committee?
It was just a self-application that they do. We advertised it in several different sources, and they submitted the applications to me in May, and then the list was compiled and presented to the school board for approval.
So that it's at the board's designation.
Discretion.
And there's no policy in place that prohibits the appointment of trustees, or I think it was included in our board book, the policy that creates the committee. Okay.
No, I don't think that we can't do it. I just think it's unwise.
Because if I'd gone out and solicited, I might have other people that would be interested also. I mean, I would like to stay with the process or get rid of the process. I mean, we have to pick one or the other is what I feel like, that it's
I guess what prevented you from soliciting community input? Or, I mean, people contacted me, but it wasn't.
but why didn't they go through the process?
Or the deadline, that's one thing that could have
Yeah.
prevented it. They didn't, the people that you named didn't apply by the deadline, and the process, I mean, they could have, right?
Yeah, if people are interested in serving on a
There's
district
no deadline. I
committee-
mean, it's an ongoing.
How did they
No,
know?
the
Did you put out a
the application
special
process, there was a
ad? Or, I
deadline.
mean, these had to be people you approached, because there wasn't like a advertisement somewhere that said, if you want to be on the SHAC, email a trustee.
It was
Right.
actually in the newspaper.
It was in the
It was
newspaper.
actually in the newspaper.
Oh, it had, so it had
It
like,
did have a deadline,
The-
Mr. Arredondo's contact?
No, for the original.
oh,
The deadline was May
the 25th. And advertisement started in December.
And we still had slots to fill.
Right.
Yes, there's no set number of slots for the SHAC voting members. And we still were going to do an open format where people who are not voting members can still attend while we make this transition into a voting membership kind of organization. Or, yes, an organization that's appointed by you completely.
So basically, if they've expressed an interest in being on the SHAC, then you could accept them, and if there's a problem, you can talk to them, is that?
Yes, the application process kind of outlines that you're making a 2-year commitment and that there's 4 times a year the meetings and some special called meetings throughout the year can be called. And then what topics on the membership application, it talks about those things. And that's what we ask for them to make that kind of commitment. We decided this past year to do them all at noon. We've done some fluctuation where we've done them at 8 in the morning, noon, 4, 6, and 8 o'clock at night. But because we wanted to really try to incorporate some of the students from San Marcos High School, we felt like our best opportunity this year, we will do it at noon at San Marcos High School to try to begin that development. So in the future, we may go back to some other alternative times and rotating it throughout the year, but we would really like to focus on getting some student involvement.
And just to acknowledge Trustee Hansen's comment, I did leave off one applicant, so if there's a subsequent motion to appoint that person, then if the votes are there, then
To
to
amend-
address your concern.
Amend the motion to add
No, a
that?
second motion
Oh, a second
after
motion.
this vote.
Oh,
Well, I can't leave off a person and then add people who haven't gone through the process. I just don't think that's fair to everybody who did go through the process. And with it being advertised and everything, I think people had the opportunity, and if they want to be a non-voting member, they can attend. That's my understanding. Okay.
So is there any?
Question, I think Mr. Billy Stokes also submitted an application, and I'm not sure that he was on the list that you read.
Oh, yes, I'll amend my original motion then to include Dr. Billy Stokes then as well.
Submitted an application prior to the deadline or
No,
after?
his
No,
original-
They'll forward it in
Okay.
email, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
This list that was given to us was set since May.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
These are the people who followed the process of the application.
Yes, sir.
Which I'll say, I think, certainly we need to advertise, we need to have a process, but I also think that this is a community that benefits from many voices, many parents, much involvement. I think
Sure, but they all
Broad
came from
involvement
one
is great.
direction. We didn't, as a board, decide, hey, let's go solicit some people. Just, I mean, as far as I
you
can
certainly
tell,
could have. There was nothing preventing you from doing
well,
so.
I didn't know that they could submit after the deadline and we should try to stack it. I mean, that wasn't what we ever discussed, and that hasn't ever happened in the past. So
There's
to act like this is not abnormal, Ms. Halsey, I mean, that just really is a stretch.
Well, and to kick somebody off that's been approved too, I think.
Nobody's been
Nobody's been
approved. It's, the approval is at the discretion of the
They've gone
board.
through the process then.
But they don't
Turned
have
in a
approval
paper and
process.
got their name on a list. That was the vetting process.
Well,
that
it
took place.
politicizes the SHAC too. Like, they bring recommendations to us, and we are generally supportive of them, but now that we know that it's been stacked from, one concentration of folks, I think it makes whatever suggestions they come with later, have less confidence from the board, because it wasn't the normal process by which this committee was selected. And they do important things. So I either think we can reopen the whole thing, and we can take applications, Pat, and create a new deadline, and then your applicants can apply. I mean, I'm fine with that, but I don't want to ad hoc, we'll just take this person off and add these 7 people, because there's been no vetting of this at all.
We have a motion on the floor in a second, and we've had discussion. Do y'all want to go ahead and vote on the current motion?
Would you reread the motion?
I move that we appoint Marty Nelson, Jennifer Vogel, Lisa Mazur, Hannah Dre, Deborah Gauntlet, Dr. Sue Ann Harrison, Lindsay Martinez, Carol Peters, Brittany Cross, Jim Corona, Arlene Mendoza, Mark DeLeon, Dr. Billy Stokes, Karen Munoz, Dr. Elaine Close, Lisa Pruitt, Gabrielle Moore, Dr. Marie Salmi, Michael Lean, and Megan Osborne to the School District School Health Advisory Council.
Are we ready for the vote? All in favor? All opposed? Motion dies for lack of a majority.
I'm going to make a motion that we table the appointment of School Health Advisory Council members and the district reopen the application process for, I don't know what suits everyone, 15 days, 10 days. Any suggestions
Before the next meeting,
your
so we
motion
can vote
before the
on
next
it.
meeting? Okay, prior to the next meeting, to submit an application to Jennifer's office.
That would be okay.
For those who haven't already done so, or?
Like,
Yes.
for anyone who
Anyone
hasn't done
else?
so, or anyone who wants to, or
So
We need to
Your
make
first
it,
SHAC meeting?
that's the motion. We need a second before we can start discussing.
I will second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Ann Halsey. So do you have a
September 20th.
you have a deadline for us, September 20th? Is that what
That's the
you-
first SHAC meeting, is September 20th.
When is our board meeting?
I don't have that in front of me.
September 18th.
Okay, that works.
I prefer to just impanel who we have on the list, and then we can add people at that later meeting. So it's not that I'm against not other people joining, but I don't see why we're waiting.
I agree. That-
Okay, so we have a motion and a second that we will wait and take some more names or have,
reopen the applications and then appoint a committee at our next board meeting.
all in favor of that motion? 4, all opposed? 2. Motion passes.
And then I have my motions written down.
Proposed change,
To approve this group?
He tabled it in his motion.
I thought it was just extend the deadline.
proposed change to board policy